Hello and welcome again to What If Natives Won, a video blogging channel about alternate history in American Indians, Native Americans, indigenous peoples. This is the 14th video of 27 planned ones. My name is Carroll. I'm Associate Professor of History at Northern Virginia Community College. I've written mostly about wars, veterans, human rights, genocide. I'm also, together with Rob Schmidt of Bluecorn Comics, editing and putting out a short story collection, What If Natives Won. This is what this video blog and channel are about. There's a huge lack of alternate history written about American Indians, indigenous people. Many people don't like to think about genocides in America. They likely were never taught about them. Many don't want to be reminded, want to believe these genocides never happened or was an accident. I've had great success using alternate history to teach my students, show them absolutely nothing in history was inevitable. It never had to be. The worst of human history is always a conscious choice. How things turn out is based on how evil the evil choose to be, and how well and how strongly good people choose to stand up to them or stop them. The way things turn out in history took a very specific set of circumstances. Sometimes history can turn on very small things. Change even one, and you have an entirely different history, different present, different society. It may be hard to hear this, but we live right now in a dystopian world, one of the worst of all possible outcomes for anyone who is not white. America is today 98% non-native. At least 75 million to 112 million natives were killed by not one genocide, but a series of them. The last of them ending only in the year 2000, taking place in America, Brazil, Canada, Guatemala, Argentina, Mexico, and elsewhere. On top of that is massive genocide denial. This is not taught in almost all American schools. There are racist images everywhere that are often not admitted to be racist. But some of this could change if William Bowles convinces the British to support the proposed nation of Muskogee in Florida and southern Alabama, made up of Muskogee people, Seminoles, escaped slaves, and British loyalists. William Bowles was an American officer who fought for the British loyalists, then set up trading posts with the Muskogee tribal nation where he married a chief's daughter, potentially becoming a hereditary chief himself. After the War for Independence ended, Bowles went to England and met King George as a Muskogee ambassador. With British backing, he built an alliance of Muskogees, runaway slaves, and loyalists, setting up the nation called Muskogee, designing its flag seen here and its constitution. This would-be nation even had a 3-ship navy that fought Spanish ships. Spanish agents kidnapped him, imprisoning him in Spain. He then escaped and captured a ship he used for more attacks on Spanish shipping. His nation of Muskogee gathered support from British pirates, Seminoles, Black Seminoles, and other ex-slaves, and even deserters from Spain's army. Bowles hoped to convince Cherokee, Chickasaw, and Choctaw to join him. The capital of Miccosukee, at 2,000 people, was one of the largest in the area. Then the British signed a treaty with Spain and France. A U.S. agent captured Bowles and turned him over to Spain, who imprisoned him in Cuba until his death. The capital of Miccosukee was attacked and destroyed by Andrew Jackson. Obviously, losing British support was what ended the new nation. This peace between Britain and Spain was short, only 2 years. The British joined Spain in fighting France in the Peninsular War. During that war, Napoleon's troops occupied Spain. Spain obviously spent most of its effort trying to force out the French. For this not to happen, and thus the nation of Muskogee, we have to imagine Napoleon not invading Spain, and Britain and Spain remaining enemies. What would also happen shortly is La Florida, the Spanish colony, was weakly defended and easily taken by the U.S., especially Andrew Jackson's brutal army. After that were 3 brutal U.S. wars against the Seminole. The U.S. actually lost the first 2 very badly. The third war was inconclusive, but so destructive, most Seminole agreed to forced removal, their own trail of tears. The 3 Seminole Wars killed almost 3,000 Seminoles and 1,600 U.S. troops. Forced removal of ethnic cleansing killed another 3,000 Seminoles. Had the British continued supporting the nation of Muskogee, most of these deaths could be avoided. Not long after the nation of Muskogee ended, the Muskogees, also called Creeks, had an ugly civil war. The Red Sticks, most of them once part of William Bowles' alliance, fought against the more assimilated Lower Creeks. The U.S. took the side of the assimilated Muskogee and allied with the Cherokee and Chickasaw. Jackson first became famous in this war for his brutality, such as using Muskogee human skin to make boots and reins for his horses. All the land you see on this map was lost by Muskogee creeks. Again, all or much of this could be avoided if the nation of Muskogee survives with British support. The nation of Muskogee likely would be nearly all of the Seminoles of La Florida. The Muskogees have half of Alabama and part of Georgia, so it would stretch from what is today Huntsville, Alabama, down to Miami. Soon after this would become Tecumseh's more famous alliance of tribes from Canada to the south and with the British against America during the War of 1812. Bulls and Muskogee would join this war. The War of 1812 was the worst defeat the U.S. ever had, worse than Vietnam or Iraq. The White House was burned down. U.S. troops were repeatedly humiliated, and America was no better off after than before. The nation of Muskogee possibly tips the balance even worse against America. The Louisiana Purchase is also unlikely. If Spain never invades Spain, Spain is better able to hold on to Louisiana, so the U.S. may be blocked from invading further west. Andrew Jackson is also unlikely to be U.S. president. He became famous for the Creek War and then the useless victory at New Orleans, fought after the War of 1812 already ended. But if Muskogee survives, there is no Creek War. Jackson still might try to command troops in 1812, but he is unlikely to be the U.S. commander at New Orleans. Obscurity keeps him from being president. He remains a far less known, pro-slavery, fanatic Indian hater. That means the Trail of Tears against Cherokee, Chickasaw, and Choctaw are also less likely. The nation of Muskogee essentially becomes like other small colonies, such as British Honduras, later the independent nation of Belize. Belize is today a small independent nation of about 350,000 Mayas, blacks, and whites, and mixed ancestry people, speaking English, Spanish, and native languages. It avoids the fate of the Mosquito Nation that I will discuss in another video. An independent Muskogee nation of several hundred thousand, and avoiding the Trail of Tears, certainly counts as native victory. It's even possible Florida still becomes a popular retirement spot for Americans, only they will be immigrants. This is the end of the 14th video. I look forward to your comments and questions, and will answer them as often as I can. Racism, genocide denial, childish behavior, personal attacks get deleted. But I do recognize some questions will be asked in ignorance because much of the facts I point to are new to most people. They were never taught about this. They've been raised in denial since denying indigenous genocides is taught in almost all public schools. Next time we will discuss what if the Lewis and Clark expedition fails or disappears. Please repost freely, subscribe, like, share, and comment. I'll post again in about a week. This has been What If Natives Won video blog and channel.